Hotels around the world have been closed for over 3 months with essentially zero revenue and having to bear the mounting fixed cost. Let's get in a perspective then from world's leading hotel chain, Accor, with some prominent names under its umbrella like Novotel, Pullman, or Fairmont. Joining us today on the show was VP Commercial India and South Asia, Kerrie. Hi, Kerrie. So good to have you with us on Curly Tales. Well, to begin with, the hospitality industry has been one of the hardest hit industries because of the pandemic. How's it been for Accor?
We're no different to anybody else. And I think, in this crisis, we've always been a very tight industry, the hospitality industry. Every country has gone through the different stages of lockdown. No two countries have been the same, or regions have been the same. They're all at different times, and therefore, your planning, and the impact of the virus has happened also at different times. Yeah, as an industry, we have been. We've been deeply impacted.
Now that we are slowly and steadily coming out of lockdown with, the rules relaxing as well, what's been the occupancy rate in some other parts of India, in some other parts of the world rather, where hotels have opened up?
Yeah, so China was the first to open up. So talking to our colleagues there, it was very, very slow. They started around 20% and then they're slowly increasing. So I think at the moment they're nudging towards 40% occupancy, but it is very, very slow. I think there are still restrictions. So even though, the lockdown is easing, it's easing in phases.
What's been the status in India? Are there any parts of India where hotels have opened up?
Well, there were some hotels that actually didn't close. So out of our hotels here, we had 18 hotels were shut temporarily. And then we also had other hotels that were kept open for healthcare workers, for repatriation flights, because there was, I think, India has such a high tourist population, I guess, if you like, that were caught here. So we were opening our hotels up to them. So while they waited for their flights to go home, so a number of our hotels did repatriation business, which was quite good and quite helpful. So yeah, it's been mixed.
Absolutely, and there's so much a hotel has to bear in terms of cost, be it the staff or the maintenance.
Sure.
And fixed rentals as well in some cases. Has there been any sort of relief that has been announced by the government? And if you can explain it to us, comparing India to your global markets in terms of support coming from the government.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet. Not in the hospitality sector, because as you know, the Prime Minister announced a stimulus package, but it hasn't necessarily flowed through to the hospitality industry. Some countries' governments have been, obviously very, very proactive, and their tourism ministers have announced stimulus packages. We know that the tourism minister here is working on it, but we're yet to fully see what that is. But keep in mind, again, we're all at different stages. So, I think for India, we're only just coming out of an easing of a very, very strict lockdown. So I think we might know more in July and August.
All right. And have there been any directives or guidelines that have been announced by the government, A, in terms of opening up, B, when it opens up in terms of the occupancy rate, the pools and the spas, are they allowed to be open or not? So has there been any guideline that has been communicated to the hospitality industry as yet?
Yeah, they have. They have, you know, and it's really also to following the World Health Organization in terms of, you know, what they're also sharing with the government. And I think pools and spas, they will definitely not open yet. When it comes to gyms, I think, you know, each state government will provide their recommendations and guidelines. So, you know, and then restaurants, the operating procedures in restaurants, and then of course we, you know, the health and safety certification has to come into play too. And all of our hotels now are going through that process of this new standard operating procedures. So the government have been, you know, helpful in providing guidelines, but it's again in stages, and every state government is a little bit different.
Anything on the occupancy rate? Because restaurants have been told to run on only 50% of capacity. How about hotels?
Yeah, we haven't. Well, again, it's a little bit different from a restaurant, and the reason why they have to run on 50% is that because of the social distancing that's required, and depending on the size of the restaurant, you know, how feasible is that? So we did a lot of research with STR, and just to kind of see, and the one telling story of everything that we saw is this country is incredibly resilient. And it's very resilient in the speed in which it responds after a crisis. So what that did tell us, it demonstrated to us that cheap rates won't necessarily drive your business. It's the need to do business that drives the business. So having cheap rates will not drive your occupancy if the consumer doesn't have confidence to get back into the market again and wanting to keep business running, wanting to keep the economy running. And we watched those behaviours. We did a lot of, you know, as I said, we did a lot of consumer research around this. And I think that the Indian market is you know, it's very social, and people love getting out and about. And that research that we did showed us that behaviour time and time and time again. People can't wait to get back into that normalcy. And I know myself, I seriously cannot wait to go to a restaurant. You know, and so that's what we're working our pricing on. And that's where we're positioning ourselves. And for us, it's really about awakening, coming out of hibernation and awakening the five senses.
Absolutely.
Sight, see, sound, touch, and taste.
Absolutely. Can't agree more with you on that. Good to know, and it's optimistic, you know, going by the history that we've always seen people bouncing back. But this time, Kerrie, there's also a sense of fear of traveling, getting out of their homes, right? What, according to you, is going to be the new normal of traveling?
If you remember the 9/11 attacks, I can tell you the travel industry was brought to its knees. Even then, some people said that international travel will never ever happen. No one will want to ever get on an aircraft again. And then slowly but surely, new procedures came into play, right? And so much so, up until this, honestly, you didn't blink twice about going through a security machine, putting your things up, not taking this on board, not taking that on board, take your shoes off. You know, every airport had their own standard operating procedures. We stood in long queues, why bags got x-rayed, et cetera, so that became the new normal. But prior to that, and again, it's really interesting, people were terrified, absolutely terrified. So as an industry, once again, we need to rally. Our airlines are critical strategic partners to anyone's economy, not just the hospitality industry. Businesses rely on air travel, and they also have to, you know, host their employees. They need to make sure they have a duty of care to make sure that their employees are staying in very safe accommodation.
In terms of inquiries coming in, you did mention, as per history, we've always seen people coming back and enjoying life the way it was. But have you seen any inquiries coming in? Which properties in specific? And if you can help us gauge the consumer trend as well, what kind of travelers are these? Are these business travelers?
So what we've seen first is definitely friends and relatives, which is really important because you haven't seen your friends and relatives. And then secondly, our corporate market is slowly coming back. So the RFPs are coming in. The call actually that we were on today was with a company called HRS, it's a travel management company, and they had just started to launch RFPs. And for India, it was Ericsson. So that's good. And, we've seen other inquiries. We also did and in order for our sales team to stay connected and engaged, they did research. So they did their own, customer research. When are you coming back? What are your plans? How many people do you think will be traveling again? And there's absolute cautiousness there. There's no question. They have a duty of care, but none of them said we're never not going to travel again. So that was interesting. Yeah, it'll be slow. Absolutely, very, 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 very slow.
So you plan to continue operations for all of the brands. There's no brand that you're looking at or hotels that you're looking at shutting down permanently.
No. Not that I'm aware. Not that I'm aware of as at today. No.
Before we let you go, Kerrie, would like to know, when do you think our viewers can check into a hotel? Any directive from the government when we are allowed to open our hotels in all over India or any particular city where it would not see the light of the day?
Well, fingers crossed, right? So let's fingers crossed, because it does change day by day. In fairness, it really does change day by day. But July, we should fingers crossed and lots of prayers. It should be July that we should be reopening our doors again.
Right. And how much time before the hospitality industry can bounce back in terms of the economic aspect?
Oh, I think that may take some time. Because as we talked about before, it's about instilling that consumer confidence. And yeah, it will take time. I wish I had a crystal ball and I could tell you concretely. We'd like to say as soon as possible, but we also have to be very, very realistic. So hopefully maybe next year. But we don't know for certain. But yeah. Soon. I hope.
All right, Kerrie, lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for taking out
and thank you so much for your patience, and I'm sorry for the quality of the lighting.
No problem at all.